The plane touched down. My phone buzzed with a single text. "We'll be gone by morning. You've got the kids." And that was the moment I realized the flight home wasn't a gift. It was a setup. My suitcase was still warm from the overhead bin when the truth hit me cold and sharp. They hadn't flown me home out of love. They'd flown me home to use me. Before I take you through what happened next, go ahead and like this video, subscribe for more real emotional stories, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from, because this one is about boundaries, betrayal, and a kind of revenge that doesn't raise its voice but still echoes. I hadn't been home in almost 3 years. Work kept me in another state and distance did the rest. When my mom called and said, "We miss you. Come home for the holidays. We'll cover the ticket," my chest softened. I imagined late nights in the kitchen, familiar laughter, maybe the chance to feel like I belonged again. I ignored the small knot in my stomach, the one that always showed up before family gatherings, and said yes. The house looked the same when I arrived. Same wreath on the door, same polished smiles. My sister hugged me with one arm while scrolling her phone with the other. The kids ran circles around us, sugar high and loud. I chalked the chaos up to the season. That night, after dinner, my mom poured wine and said, almost casually, "Oh, by the way, your sister and I are taking a little trip, just a few days. You're great with the kids." I laughed, thinking it was a joke. She didn't. My sister avoided my eyes. "It's already booked," she said. "You don't mind, right?" "Mind?" I'd flown across the country to see my family, not to be unpaid childcare while they lounged on a beach. But when I opened my mouth, the room filled with that old pressure, the unspoken rule that I was the reliable one, the flexible one, the one who didn't make scenes. "It's just a few days," my mom added, like seasoning on a wound. Morning came too fast. Suitcases by the door that weren't mine. A rush of kisses, a promise to call. The car disappeared down the street, and suddenly it was me, 2 kids under 10, a fridge with a color-coded schedule taped to it, and a list of rules that read like a contract I never signed. The first day was hard. The second was worse. The kids weren't bad. They were confused. "When's Mom coming back?" they asked, eyes searching my face for reassurance I didn't have the right to give. Nights were the longest. I lay awake on the couch, listening for footsteps, thinking about how easily my family had decided my time was less valuable than theirs. On the 3rd night, I found the itinerary on the counter. Beach resort, spa appointments, smiling photos sent to the family group chat with captions like, "Much needed." Something in me went quiet, not angry, clear. I realized that if I kept absorbing this, it would never stop. So I made a plan. Not to hurt them, not to explode. To hold a mirror steady and let them see themselves. I started documenting everything, the schedules, the texts, the missed calls, the receipts left behind. I emailed my boss and explained the situation honestly, attaching proof. Requesting temporary remote work hours. Approved. I called a local sitter for backup and paid her with my own money. Not because I owed it, but because the kids deserved stability. Then I waited. It also included copies of the documentation I decompiled and a final line. "I love you. I won't be used again." I hugged the kids goodbye that morning, told them their mom would be back soon, and left before doubt could talk me out of dignity. When my phone lit up that evening, I didn't answer. The messages stacked quickly. Confusion, panic, accusations. "Where are you?" "You can't just leave." "We're boarding. What do you mean there's a sitter?" I turned the phone face down and watched the clouds from my seat, feeling my heart pound with something that wasn't fear anymore. It was resolve. They came back to consequences. Not disaster. Consequences. a sitter who charged holiday rates, a school that required explanations, kids who asked hard questions, and me, unreachable for the first time in my life. When I finally called, days later, my mom cried. My sister yelled. I listened. When they finished, I spoke calmly. You flew me home under false pretenses. You assumed my consent. That ends now. Silence stretched. Then my sister said small, we didn't think you'd mind. That's the problem, I replied. You didn't think? The weeks that followed were uncomfortable. Invitations stopped, then resumed with caveats. Apologies arrived, imperfect but real. The relationship changed. It had to. The coldest part of my revenge wasn't leaving. It was returning to my life without apologizing for choosing myself. I sent gifts to the kids. I set boundaries in writing. I declined trips that didn't include honest conversations. And when the next holiday came, I spent it where I was wanted, not needed. Sometimes revenge isn't loud. It doesn't slam doors or scorch earth. Sometimes it's the quiet act of stepping out of a role you never auditioned for and refusing to play it again. If you're rewatching this and you've ever been used because you were the good one, remember this. Kindness without boundaries becomes a leash. Cut it clean. You don't owe anyone your exhaustion. And the coldest revenge of all is a life lived on your terms.